So you started this business with zero money out of pocket, right?
Yes.
How in the world did you pull that off? Busy road. All right, guys, we are with the one and only Rolling Operations Clayton Roll. So we just finished picking up a dumpster. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't full.
No.
It was on a super busy road, which was the worst part of it.
Yeah, that's never fun. When it's on that busy road, in this case it'd be 36th Street. Nobody around the world would know where that is, but 36th Street to us is very busy.
Yeah,
especially at lunchtime.
Busy street. So we're gonna run this thing to the dump, right?
Yes, we're gonna swing it by the dump real quick. I'm gonna take it by our, I guess you could call local dump, which is what, like 15 minutes away. It's a little bit high. Actually, prices of the dump have gone up again.
Really?
Thank you, inflation.
So I would assume that every dump, you know, if you're starting one of these businesses yourself, you need to check what the local prices are, because everywhere's gonna be different, right?
Yeah, so the first video that you made that, I mean, did really well, it seems like, because I'm getting phone calls from people all over the place, which, by the way, I love, because it's so cool that so many guys have now started this. I think we're up to, like, I got a lot of phone calls, but I think I'm up to 6, maybe 7 now who have actually pulled the trigger.
That's cool.
And bought some dumpsters and some trailers. And it's really cool to hear them tell me, like, you know, their headaches, things they found out the hard way, because, you know, I can tell everybody as much as I possibly can to, you know, are the things that I ran into that were a big problem. But it's even better when I can hear it from somebody else, because there's been a couple guys that have helped me. And I mean, there's some guys that are, at the rate they're going, they're probably going to be bigger than I am in no time.
Right. So you started this business with zero money out of pocket, right?
Yes.
How in the world did you pull that off?
I talked about it a little bit in the first video we did, but and I think that might have caught a little bit of the attention. At the time, I had, I still do, I have a pretty good credit score, and I got a credit card, 0% interest for 18 months.
Nice.
I think that 18 months is up by now, but that card is empty. That card's empty now, because I've paid for everything I bought with that card, and then I paid it off with only the proceeds I made from my dumpster business.
Right, so a lot of people were in the other video were being like, oh, you have to have so much money to get started, but you were able to get started with zero money out of your own pocket by getting a 0% interest rate credit card, which is risky, but it worked. It worked.
And again, I wouldn't suggest it to everybody, because 0% interest is great, but when you max out a credit card, it's not always the best idea. It does kind of impact your credit for a small amount of time. But as long as you pay that off, it'll bounce right back, and that's the best part. And you don't have any other issues. But I took a pretty big risk, because I could have started this and nobody rented a dumpster.
Yep.
And I would have been stuck with a trailer and a dumpster.
But worst case scenario, you could have just sold it, right?
Yes. Looking back, I would have been totally fine, because what's really crazy right now with, you know, COVID and metal shortages and shipping issues around the country, all these things are compounding, and these trailers and dumpsters that roll off have gotten so much more expensive that before I would, you know, I knew exactly where I was going to get my dumpster every time, and now I'm to the point that I'm like, I'm looking other places for dumpsters because they're so expensive.
Right. So it's almost like they've increased the price.
Yes, I see guys selling the same exact model trailer, same year, and then like 4 dumpsters for way more than I paid at the time, which it's really hard for me to keep track of that at this point. But when I bought my first trailer and dumpster, I only bought one dumpster, and it was, I think it was about $12,000 to $13,000 roughly, but closer to the 12, and that was for the trailer and one dumpster. Now you couldn't find one of those used for that price.
It's crazy.
Double check that nothing got stuck, like a mattress or something silly.
All right, let's see what we are with nothing in her.
Yep. And we got
What are you gonna guess? What is it gonna
right around 15. Depends on how much gas I have. Or diesel.
be? 15, 260,
Oh,
280,
look at that.
280. All right, so you just got your receipt. It was less than a ton,
Yep.
so that means it's a set price. You know, anything under a ton is a set price. And again, guys, if you're curious about this business and you're thinking about doing it, just start calling around to the local dumps, right? Figure out what the price is in your area, because, you know, your cost for someone to rent the dumpster, say it's, you know, $300. Well, if it costs $200 to, you know, dump it at the local dump, that markup's probably not, you know, it's not gonna be good enough.
Yeah.
So
you need to figure out, if you're going to start this business, it's what is your time worth? Because at the end of the day, once you pay off your dumpsters, you pay off your trailer, that's all it is. It's basically, what is your time worth? Because when I go, and what is the headache worth? Let's be honest. Because
Yeah.
every once in a while, there's just a pain in the butt issue that you break something, you got to
Get
fix
stuck.
something, it gets stuck, as we've definitely filmed
Yeah.
before. You just got to figure out what it's worth, and then you got to see, is what I can make for this better than the competition? Because the competition is where it's at. You need to see, can I make $100 a dumpster? Am I okay with that? After I pay for fuel, you know, the dump fee, and the amount of time it sat out there, and that means the amount of time I wasn't making money. Was I okay with that? And then your insurance, you need to kind of allocate that throughout the year to figure out what that's worth. And then you got to say, all right, now how much is the competition charging, and can I be competitive?
yeah. So let's act like you're back to day one. If you could start over and tell yourself something about what equipment to buy, like, you know, as far as the trailer, the dumpsters, the truck, what would you tell yourself, you know, knowing what you know now?
Hands down, the automatic tarp. You've probably filmed me before, like on top of my dumpster, like undoing it and doing it, back
Jumping up there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not necessarily the safest thing to do, doing it that way, but I'm also really short. So I'm always like lifting it up, and I'm trying to lift it above, you know, the stuff that might be just over the top. It gets hung up. These guys now, about a year after I bought mine, they started slapping these automatic tarps on all of them.
Yep.
And they look really handy. And I wouldn't mind having one, to be honest.
So the tarp, what else? Like as far as what about sizes of dumpsters? What sizes would you buy?
Ooh, starting out, so I kind of upgraded and I bought a couple 20-yard dumpsters, and it does help, you know, bring in a little bit of a little additional cash flow, because at the end of the day, the way I priced it was the 20-yard dumpster is more expensive based on how many days you use it.
The other ones are what, 14 yards?
Yeah, the other ones are 14s, and then I have the 20 yards. But the thing is,
all right, so I got cut off there, but we're talking about the size of dumpsters. You started with 14 yard, right? Is that
yeah, started with a 14,
and then you bought
I bought a couple more 14s, and then I came across a couple 20s that I didn't even know they made at first, and I didn't anticipate them fitting my dumpster until I realized that they're the exact same, just taller.
Okay.
So that's kind of nice when you're putting them in driveways. The only bummer is with more room comes more waste. And
more waste or weight?
Waste, and both, weight
Which
too.
both?
So I mean, the weight is a big thing. Actually, with the 20-yard, it sits so high above the dumpster, you'll see fuel efficiency definitely changes, and then the tendency for people to just cram so much stuff in them.
Yeah.
The 14-yard kind of has a stopping point. The 20-yard is just like, let's see how much of the heavy stuff we can put at the bottom.
Right. All right, so I see all these receipts here. So every time you go to the dump, you get a receipt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if you had to guess, how many times a week are you running to the dump?
Probably 8 to 10 with the current setup I have. It would be even higher if I had a couple more dumpsters, but to be honest, I don't know how busy I want to be.
Right.
It's kind of nice keeping it a side hustle sometimes.
All right, so Clayton and I were just talking about the dumpster business and how he makes money. And I think a point most people need to realize with this like side hustle or it's not like a full-time business for Clayton, the name of the game is flipping these things as quickly as possible. So Clayton, how often is it that your dumpsters are just sitting in a vacant yard not being used? Ever? Never.
Yeah, no,
So-
the way I have it, so since I only, you know, competition probably has 20 dumpsters sometimes, but they're letting them rent for 2 weeks at a time. I just dumped it. I literally just picked this one up. I mean, we filmed that, and then I have it scheduled to be dropped off at 4:30, so that's in 3 hours. And I usually run my dumpsters in the morning, at lunch, and then I'll try to load one up in the evening so that I can have it ready for the morning. So I'm really big about my time management.
So the big guys are dropping them off for what, 2 weeks at a time, something where you're
Yep.
dropping off for a day or two, and you're turning that dumpster so many more times than the big guys. That's how you're making so much money.
That's how I'm making money for myself. You know, the big companies, they're probably making just as much money as me. I mean, probably way more. Let's be honest. But for me personally, just myself running my business by myself, I'm very happy with how much it's paying me. So it's kind of nice. But you do have to be on top of your stuff, because you do not want to call somebody and say, hey, I overbooked your dumpster. Hey, this isn't going to be dumped in time. That's why I have a schedule. Morning, I run so many dumpsters. Lunchtime, I run a dumpster. In the evening, I better have a dumpster on the back of it to be emptied so I can give it to somebody else the next day.
All right, so we're dropping off a dumpster right now, and I think it looks a little tight. I think she wants it right in here, right? There's no way.
That was her plan.
Holy crap.
She can't block the alley, is what she said.
Where in the world are you gonna put it? All right, so Clayton's just gonna see if we can even get it close to putting it in this little side yard back here. I don't think he can do it.
Said don't block the alley.
Yeah. There's no way. No way. Round two. Well, that sucked. But we got it. Almost. All right, guys, so we just finished up and we're in Clayton's garage now. He's making so much money from these dang dumpsters that he just dumps into these crazy race cars. He got like 3 or 4 of them. What the heck?
They're not all mine.
They're not all yours, okay. All right, guys, well, I think that's about it. Clayton, is there anything else you want to add about the dumpsters on this video?
No, it's a good time. Either way, it's dirty work. It's not too bad of work.
Cool. All right, guys, well, until next time, don't forget to subscribe because we're going to start pumping out some more dumpster videos. So subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.